Now that we've talked about how to make socks and what yarns to use, let's talk about the tools. There are a variety of needles that you can choose from when you want to make a pair of socks. The traditional choice are double points. Mom always liked double points. I like double points. They just work for us. They don't work for everybody, work great for us. One reason I think it's at least a good idea to start learning socks on double points is the needles work as your guide. Socks are all a matter of ratio. That's why when people have been knitting socks for a while, you can almost knit them in your sleeve because it's halves and thirds, and your needles just work to divide them that way without any markers or counting needed. So I think construction-wise, it helps enforce that in your brain if you start on double points. But I understand that some people absolutely hate double points, and that's fine too. For those who don't like double points, there's other ways. For those of us who do like double points, we're like, this is what we would do when we couldn't find needles that we need, kind of roughing it, but this is a method a lot of people like. One is using 2 circular needles, and you divide the stitches with half on one and half on the other. So your sock, of course, wouldn't be this big, would be here, and then you knit all the stitches off this cable and then all the stitches off that cable. That's 2 circs. A lot of people like that, but you do have these needles flopping around, so you have to contend with. Another method a lot of people like is the magic loop, and it uses a long circular. And what you do with magic loop is your sock or project, it's not just limited to socks, would be divided here. Let me make the cable shorter. Come on, needles. You'd have your project here, and then you have this loop hanging out. That's just extra, and then you just pull that around as you work. So that was your 3 basic ways for a while of doing socks: double points, 2 circs, or magic loop, until Audie came out with the Flexi Flips. I think these are the neatest things since sliced bread. Some people don't like them. I think they're great. If maybe all these cables and needles flopping around weren't your thing and you really didn't like double points, you probably need to give these a try. I do believe if Mom were still here, I think she would have flipped over these, and she was a diehard double point person. I love them because they work like double points, but yet you don't have the stiff needle sticking around and you have less needles to switch between. I always lay them out just like I would on double points into thirds, and then I knit so that they're just in halves, and so my center is here in the middle of one of the needles with the marker. I put a marker there, and that'll be my center of round. And that way, because when you do work on double points, your center of round is usually in between a needle break. This way you can actually use a stitch marker and know exactly where it is. And then you just work with the empty needle like double points, except they're flexible and you have less transitions. These are really cool. They come in the metal with a rocket and a turbo tip. One side is the sharp, one is the regular turbo. They have the Natura bamboo. And then they've recently added, for larger projects, the extra large with the bigger sizes with a little bit longer cable length, because these would be kind of short if you were doing a chunky hat. And these go up through, what size do they go up through? I think it's 11. Yes, up through an 11. So if you've liked your Flexi Flips and would like to use them on bigger projects, that's another thing. If you do like double points, it's nice to be able to get a set. I really like the double points from Waikiki for a lot of reasons. They're very nice needles to knit with. And then they also have the size marked on in the middle where it doesn't rub off, where you can read it. And that makes it easy. Before, it would be just stamped in the wood with a lot of the double points, and it rubs thin, and then half the time you're not even using the same sizes. I have that problem. I have double points everywhere. And they come in nice sets. They have the smaller size needles, including sizes for socks. And then they have a size that will then go up to the larger sizes too. And that is great, because if you have double points before, it was hard to find a set. You might be able to find sets which is sock sizes, but I have needle cases with random double points everywhere. I have to fish around to find, 4 or 5 needles that are the same to match. You would think I had this nice organized system at home, but I don't. But this helps, because that way you have a nice place to put them, and it helps you keep up with your needles better. I think that's all I have to say about sock needles and tools. Tomorrow we wrap up socks and we will look at our sock boxes.